Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This isn't a makeup channel, but I did just do a makeup look. So if you're interested in how I did this look, it's like a clean, springy, healthy looking skin look. I'll have that link down below for you. This is an MS talk. As some of you may know, I have multiple sclerosis. I was diagnosed in 2006 and it's been fun. No, that's a lie. It's not that fun. But it is what it is. So today I just wanted to go over, it's going to be a quick chill video of the medications that I take. Like it's going to encompass like all of them, not just like on a daily basis, but then what I take for my MS particularly. So I am currently on Tysabri. If you guys have MS, you probably have heard of this. And if you guys down below, if you take this, let me know down below. How long have you been on it? What are your experiences with it? So I go every 6 weeks for an infusion. Takes usually about 2 to 3 hours total. I'm there, and I've heard that that's not normal, but maybe it's just a place I go to, because you get like an hour or so of the infusion. You sit there. I bring my Nintendo DS. I play like Zelda because I love it, or I just take care of some stuff, for work, and I, do emails and stuff like that. And you just kind of sit there, and my favorite part about this is when they come over like, can I get you anything? And I'm like, well, I forgot to bring coffee, or I forgot to buy some at the cafeteria. And they're like, I'll brew you some. Thank you. Yes. So my experience there, it's usually fine. I get really, really tired after it. I don't know if you guys have experienced that, if you take an infusion or anything. But I definitely do with Tysabri. It's not, when I first started going, like 3 years ago, it used to exhaust me for like 3 days after. It was really, really rough. But I'm pretty much okay. It's just, I don't like to plan to work after I have my infusion. One, because it's like a 45-minute drive to get there. And then I'm really tired, so usually my mom brings me. That's super fun. And then we like eat food, and then I like go to sleep. Like I'm done. So I take Tysabri, and so for the 3 years that I've been on it, I've had no new lesions, no new activity. So I am having an upcoming MRI on my spine to see if anything's going on. And as long as my numbers, my JC virus numbers don't go up, I am JC virus positive. So that puts me in as it stands right now, I have a 1 in 100 chance of getting PML, which you guys, if you don't know, it's a progressive brain like disease, and it usually leads to death. It's not the best thing to get, but so I know a lot of people hear that. They're like 1 in 100, but we're monitoring it as long as my numbers don't go any higher. Sometimes they go down too, so I'm okay with that, because you have to, in life you risk, it's a risk benefit, you weigh it. And for me, it's been the only medicine so far since 2006. I started on Copaxone, which is a daily injection, but I was just constantly having new activity. And I didn't know at the time that should have made me think and said, hey, can I have something better? I was just like, well, I'm out of medicine. So I wasn't the best educated on what the medication is for and what it's doing. So I didn't want to take that risk of taking something like what I'm on now, like Tysabri. But in retrospect, I wish I had started on that, and I wish somebody would have said that to me. But it is what it is. So if I can help somebody out there, I hope that I do. Start off, if you're newly diagnosed, start off with the highest efficacy drug, please. Because I have, things that aren't going to go away now. It's like permanent damage that was done. And maybe I wouldn't have had that if I started on a better medicine first. But hindsight is 20/20, so it is what it is. So if my numbers go up on the JC virus, I am going to be switching. I think I've done enough research. I would be switching to ocrelizumab. So that's I think it's a twice a year infusion, and I've heard some good things, and my neurologist is on board with that, and he likes that I'm like obviously I do my research now, and I pay attention. So if all goes well, I'd love to stay on Tysabri, but I don't want to take that risk. If my risk goes any higher than 1 in 100, I'm not comfortable with that. So we'll do that. And for medicines that I take on a daily basis, I start off first with a low dose aspirin. So I just take one of these every single day. I find too, because I suffer and I don't know what it's from. I don't know if it's from MS or if it's from a car accident that I was in before. But I've had intense migraines for quite a few years now, and nothing has like helped it other than like eating tons and tons of Tylenol, like 4, 5, 6 a day. And my migraines would usually come, I would say, at least 4 per week, if not like 5 or 6. And it was awful. And you know, in the moment you don't realize like how terrible that is. And they weren't just headaches. I've had headaches before. Not that headaches are fun either, but I've had them before. But I've been having migraines. So I've tried, and I've heard that just like an aspirin a day can definitely help with that. Plus it's just good, thins your blood. So I take that daily. I take D3 daily, because as we all know with MS, usually we always have like lower vitamin D stats, and it's just good for you anyway. So I take 5,000 of the IU thing. Can you focus? Could you please? Well, so you can see it's 5,000 per day, and that way I just have good levels of, you know, whatever. I do take this D-mannose. Is that how you say it? I don't know. But it's with cranberry and dandelion extract. It's high strength. So it's 600 milligrams D-mannose per capsule. It's a urinary tract formula, because one of the main things that I've always had with having MS, like since the very beginning, was urinary tract infections. And these weren't just like little ones where like you could tell that something was wrong when you go about your day. These were like incapacitating urinary tract infections, where like I wanted to die. And I have a high pain tolerance and I can deal with things. UTIs are the devil. And you know, and you're like peeing blood, and like you just feel like you have to pee all the time, and then you sit down and you can't pee, and then it's just like that feeling, and it's just you want to pull your hair out. So I get really intense ones, or at least I have. So after a few years of experiencing them and not knowing proper etiquette with how to deal with them, I've learned a really, really good way to combat them. Like once you realize you have them, first you're gonna get Azo at the grocery store. Get high strength, get like the maximum dose, and you take one of those. Turns your pee orange. That will help immensely within like the next hour of having it. Just flood your system with that. Drink tons of water. Just keep drinking. But also, if you're going to be drinking that much water, eat something, let's say like a banana. You need potassium to counteract that, because if you're flooding your system, you're depleting your body and you're going to start shaking, because that's what I did wrong at first. And then my mom's like, eat a banana. So eat while you're doing this. And I know usually if you have them as bad as I do, you're not going to want to eat. Like all you want to do is just like hug your pillow and like rock back and forth and like pray for death. So immediately upon getting a UTI, drink, like I'm talking like a gallon. Switch between probably water, and then you can switch to something that you can not get sick from, like cranberry juice or even ginger ale. You want to stay away from sugars and caffeine technically when you're dealing with UTIs. That's good advice, because that's not going to help. But otherwise you're just going to throw up everything, because you know when you just drink too much water, then you're like that, and then it's all gone, and then your Azo is gone too. So don't do that. So just drink, eat a banana, make sure that you're, you know, keep your potassium up, strength. If you start feeling shaky, stop drinking that much water. But when I say drink water, and when doctors have said, well, for UTIs, drink water, they don't understand. What you need to do is fill up your body and start flushing out the infection, like through peeing, as quickly as possible, or you're going to have pain like for a long time, and you're going to feel that icky feeling and want to die. So just keep drinking. You're going to be running to the bathroom back and forth. And also, I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying this from experience. and it's worked. So before it was awful. I can't even explain to you. Like, I would rather have the migraines that I was having daily than deal with the UTIs. So once I figured out like a formula for success, it's just drinking. And even though you're peeing more, and that's why I avoided it when I first got UTIs, I didn't want to pee because it hurt. That's counterintuitive. Please don't do that. You're going to want to drink as much as possible. Because then after about, I would say it takes a few hours of just flushing your system, just go. And then all of a sudden you'll feel this moment of release and you're like, oh, look, there's less blood in my pee. And oh, it didn't hurt nearly as much. You'll feel better within the day. And then you hopefully go to your doctor, get an antibiotic, and that will clear you right up. And so ever since the terrible dark ages of dealing with UTIs, I've done a lot of research. I'm like, what can I do to prevent this? Because this is trash. So that's when I came to this, and this has helped me. I haven't had a UTI in a few years, which is weird because usually I was having them quite often. Too often for me. So that's another one. Another thing that I take is Azo bladder control. Why is nothing focusing? Can you focus? Well, whatever. Bladder control, because I've noticed, I've always been told by my neurologist, and I'm like, I don't know, I just always feel like I have urinary problems. It's probably like the one thing that I'll always have. And I'm like, it just like feels weird, and every time I pee, even if I don't have a UTI, it hurts and it's uncomfortable, so then I drink a lot of water to try to make it feel better. And then my neurologist years ago recommended a medication that he could give me. He goes, well, it'll make you pee a lot less, and maybe it'll help. And I'm like, no, I'd still rather pee more often than not enough, because I was in my head remembering when I had UTIs and I couldn't pee. So I'm like, no, I'd rather pee. And he's like, okay, no, that's fine. Well, I take all of that back, because this stuff, I just always thought that I had like a malfunctioning like down there, like bladder, and that icky feeling was always going to be with me even if I didn't have a UTI. It's just, it would hurt and I could feel, and then I'd be like, nope, I don't want to pee yet, even if I had to. And I would drink a ton of water to make sure that like the stream was there, because if you guys have MS, you probably know like you have to pee wicked bad and then like hardly anything comes out, even if you don't have a UTI. And it's so unsatisfying and just cringy. So I've since learned this stuff has been a game changer for me. I never realized, because I'm like, well, I don't have problem, like, I don't like pee myself, except for one time when I was sick. It was really scary because I had to pee and I couldn't hold it, and I actually went before I got to the bathroom. This just recently happened, probably like less than a year ago, and it was terrifying because I'd never dealt with that before. I was always able to like take care of that. I think that only happened because I was extremely sick and just everything was against me. But I found that this not only helps that, and it helps your muscles and all that, it took away the icky feeling that I would have on a daily basis since 2006. And I'm so mad at myself that I never, like, nobody ever really said anything like this. I just thought I would live with it, and it was just something, it was my cross to bear. This is pretty much taking care of the whole thing. So these are my friends. So I take that. And then along with that, I do take, it's a prescription. So I take 2 prescriptions now. These are all over the counter, the D-Manos, the Azo, the D3, and obviously the low dose aspirin you can get, whatever. But prescription wise, I take tolterodine, 2 milligram capsules. May cause drowsiness, swallow whole, may cause dizziness, and blurred vision. But this is also for, it's kind of acting the same thing as what this is and this. So this has just helped me go less, but every time that I do go, it's like a full bladder full, and it doesn't hurt either. I don't know if I'm supposed to mix the 2 of them, but it's just finally I found something that's taken away the god-awful pain. And I'm really happy. So I'm going to stick with taking these 2 together. And then my last prescription that I take just recently, because I was talking to my neurologist the last visit that I just had a few months ago about the migraines. And he saw my bottle of Tylenol in my purse. And he's like, is that the one you carry with you? I'm like, uh-huh. He's like, is that 500? I'm like, yes, because I use them a lot. He's like, how many of those do you take a day? I'm like, He's like, staring at me. He's like, more than 4? I'm like, yeah, to get rid of a migraine, yes. And then he asked me a whole bunch of questions on what my pain is. And he's like, yeah, it sounds like you're having like a mix between the two. It's like migraine sometimes mixed with a headache. Like, fantastic. And so we tried to like figure it out. And he's like, all right, we could try something. And it's actually an antidepressant, which I'm not diagnosed. I don't have depression. I don't know. I don't know if I do or something, but he didn't prescribe me an antidepressant for depression. He prescribed it for me. He said it's also been known to insanely help people with migraines. So he said, give it a try. I tried it. Yes, this helps. And it's also, I do have to say, somewhat improved my mood. And so that does make me wonder about my mental state before. I don't think I have depression, but it definitely has calmed down my reaction to things sometimes, because I do know that if I wasn't feeling good, it always is tied with I'm too tired, I don't feel good, I have a headache, my bladder doesn't feel good, and then something would happen, let's say like at work or something, and it would just kind of send me over the edge. And I'm not a dramatic person by any means, but I'd just be like unable to handle it. Why can't everybody just like do their job, do it right, leave me alone? Just because of how I feel on a daily basis. So I found that this has taken a little bit of like an edge off, and I'm able, like when things are happening at work now that normally would have like kind of gave me some stress, I'm able to handle it better. So I can say that. And as far as migraines go, whereas before I was having 4, 5, 6 a week, I only notice them now right around when I get my period, and they're intense, so then that's when I take Tylenol, but they've been reduced to maybe one a week, if that. No, yeah, I still do, so maybe 1 as opposed to like 5. So drastically helped the migraines, and I'm so thankful for that. And so these little brown things, I love them. What are the side effects? May cause drowsiness. Alcohol intensifies with it. Use care when you're using a vehicle. Blurred vision. Avoid prolonged exposure. Direct sunlight. Okay. But these have completely... And this is something I wanted to touch on. And I think I used to hear about this stuff before when people talk about having MS and all that and dealing with it. And they'd be like, well, you know, not just treating MS, but treating like the little things is important too. And I used to just kind of like brush that off. I'm like, well, yeah, but what are you going to do? Like everything that I try to take doesn't help, because my main problem is fatigue. That hasn't been helped by anything, unfortunately. And I've tried a lot. I've tried, what are those ones called? Oh yeah, I was taking Valium. Oh yeah, Valium is another one. I'm all out of them since I started taking the amitriptyline. Hello. So I don't take Valium anymore, but that was another one that I would take. But none of the drugs have worked for fatigue. And it's unfortunate, but I haven't been able to find anything. But I do think there's merit to saying it really will help your overall well-being in dealing with this if you can find the right drug, you know, like that'll help you be able to, like, you know, go day to day without feeling quite as terrible. And I finally found a pretty good mix that I feel, it's not that I feel I'm not cured, I'm not, you know, it makes the day easier to get through, both physically and mentally. And I think there's something to be said about that. It's definitely helpful. So if you guys would like to tell me like what you guys take on a daily basis, along with what you're taking for your MS, because please, I do not want to hear that you guys are not on a disease modifying medication. Don't make me lecture you. I will link you to Dr. Boster, and he'll tell you why that's a terrible idea. Just saying, I'll do it. Don't tempt me. Please be on something, just please. It's just a good idea. So I hope that was helpful. What do you guys take? Just tell me down below. If you have questions for me, I can answer them. Like I said, I've been diagnosed since 2006. And I had symptoms for years before that, so I was probably in middle school when I started having trouble. But, doctors don't really take that seriously, or at least back then they didn't. And I was going numb from my waist down. I had MRIs, and they're like, nope, nothing here. Well, it turns out I actually did have something in my MRI. Probably could have sued the bastard. But yeah, he didn't tell me, which is interesting. And then I had a bout of optic neuritis. And this is before I was diagnosed, obviously. And it was actually my eye doctor that helped me get to my actual, the prognosis of MS. And I am so grateful, and I still see him because he's a very good eye doctor. That was fun. Yeah, so then I've been on Copaxone. That was the thing that I mostly took. But I was just having relapses after relapses, and my MRIs would come back, oh, new lesion. And I should have switched a long time ago, but I didn't. And that's kind of my fault, and also the fault on, people educating the patient a little bit, which I'm a little irritated with, but that's okay. So I was on Copaxone. I was also on, what's that pill? Hold on one second. Okay, so I started off on Copaxone. Then I went to Rebif, which is an interferon. And then I went to Glatopa, which is that's just the generic equivalent of Copaxone, but I took Glatopa technically. And then I was on Aubagio. That one really messed with me. It, not that it was a bad thing, but I lost a ton of weight on that one. But because it scared me, because it was all in my head, and I noticed whenever I would go to eat anything, I was like, I don't want to eat anymore. Food didn't make sense to me. I was like, why eat? What's the necessity of eating? And it really, not to say that it was bad, because I lost weight. So that's fine. But they didn't like that it was doing that to me. Yeah, and the Rebif was the one, I was having really weird, psychological effects of it. And I was just, angry and, had bad thoughts. And he didn't like that either. He's like, no, not that one. And then I also did Tecfidera. What a shit show that was. I think it was only because the person that put me on Tecfidera was an MS specialist. It wasn't my regular neurologist, but it's because he was involved in clinical trials, and so he had a reason for putting me on. That was his little experiment, I guess. But that did not end well. I ended up in the hospital. I had the insane, my cheeks would turn bright red, and I felt like my face was on fire. I looked like a lobster. And then I had major intestinal problems, the diarrhea and all the stomach problems. I was throwing up, not eating, and I ended up in the hospital because of that. And so that was Tecfidera. Didn't go well for me. So my neurologist said, no more of that. So then I went directly to Tysabri. And that's what I've been on since. So I've been through, let's see. So Copaxone, Rebif, Aubagio, Tecfidera. Okay, so this is my 5th medication that I've been on. Disease-modifying medication. I finally found the one where I didn't have to end up in a hospital or have severe psychological problems, or wondering why people eat food. I'm like, what's the point here? I don't get it. No thanks. So yeah, I've been through a lot and finally found the one that works for me, and 3 years without new lesions, so I'm hoping to keep that going. And like I say, if I have another, another relapse, or if there's more new words, you guys know what I mean. You have so much to say, and just the words are there, but you can't figure out how to say them. So as long as I don't have any progression or new activity, then I'm gonna switch to Ocrevus. I was contemplating like Ocrevus versus Lemtrada, but I think Ocrevus might be the better one for me. I know that there's a risk of breast cancer with that one, but again, it all comes down to would that be treatable, or do you want, like, it's just I hate making these decisions, but it is what it is. We'll work it out. So let me know down below what you guys think, what you want to hear about next. I do have a few video ideas written down, so I do have some more MS videos to get to. Remember to leave a like. Let me know that you like this, subscribe, and I will have more content. It's because I'm trying to figure out if people want to see more. So I kind of switch between like doing MS stuff, makeup, and then politics is also another thing that I do. But I probably shouldn't mix all of them together now. People will be like, no. But let me know down below. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.